But let's get started. We'll start with Ron, and we'll do it 10 minutes or so, and then we'll do the intros, and then we'll do Aaron. Zeb's coming back in, and I will pop on my timer. By the way, you may notice that there is now on the upper left, you'll see like two stars, a big star with a little star in the corner. That is the Zoom AI companion. And I've triggered that, or I've set that on, and it basically takes a summary of the whole conversation. But you can also jump in and ask it a question about what's been going on in the call, if you missed anything. So I'm going to actually share the results of that, probably as a link, but maybe as an email to the people who joined. If you want to do it, I think it requires the basic $15 a month version of Zoom. So it doesn't require you to upgrade beyond that. And it is difficult to find how to turn it on. But if you do a little YouTube search, as I did, you'll find it somewhere in the settings.
What's it called again,
Michael? I think it's called the Zoom AI Companion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Robert Weiss is joining. So Robert, for example, joined a little bit late. We haven't talked much yet, but he could. Welcome, Robert. If you did click on that AI Companion thing and say, tell me what I missed, it'll give you a summary. So feel free to play with it. And by the way, I have a new camera, which is called a center cam, which is right in the middle of my screen. And it hopefully makes me a little more, gives you better eye contact, essentially. All right.
Yeah,
so, thank you.
I like the AI thing.
What's that?
So I like the AI thing.
The AI thing's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff out there. All right, I'm going to put on if I could find it, there you go, apps. Now let's try this again. I'm going to put on the timer, and then I'm going to move it to speaker mode so that, Ron, you've got the full screen. We'll give you 10 minutes.
Okay.
And take it away, Ron Hubsher.
Yeah. Greetings, everyone. I've got a question for anybody. Has anybody ever closed a deal or thought they had a deal closed, and the client calls you up later in the day or late on a Friday when you're about to go home and celebrate, and they say, hey, I need a deep discount on this. And now you're really frustrated because you're like, oh, I thought I had this one. And now what do I do? Do I just, eat the loss? Do I just take money off the top? Do I push back hard? And you're really frustrated and aggravated. And, here you thought you had something won, and now they're pushing you. And you don't want to feel like you're being taken advantage of, but you don't want to lose a deal. Has that ever happened to anybody? Show of hands. Matthew, that didn't happen to you, man? Ever? I like you, man. You're the golden man then. Well, for those who it's happened to me. It's happened to a lot of people in sales. Well, we make sure that never happens again. So I run a negotiation training company, and we teach companies like DocuSign, Google, Oracle how to negotiate and close deals. And has anybody ever taken any negotiation training, just out of curiosity? And it's kind of interesting. Has anybody taken any sales training? Show of hands. All right. So a lot of people taking sales training, but not that many people taking negotiation training. So what happens is we know how to have a really good sales process, but then when it comes to get negotiation, oftentimes we're ill prepared for it. So just a quick high level overview is negotiation is a big word. It's like saying, hey, I'm good at math. Are you good at addition, subtraction, multiplication, calculus, differential equations? They're different versions of mathematics. The same is true in negotiation. One type of negotiation is conflict resolution. So how do two parties of war come to peace, or how does a labor union negotiate with the corporation? And the key thing there is both parties have to deal with each other. And if you don't come to a conclusion, bad stuff's going to happen. So in the case of the labor union, they can go out on strike, or the company can shut down the factory. Or in the case of war, ongoing hostilities, bad stuff's going to happen. And that's a very different negotiation than a business-to-business sales negotiation, where you want to win the deal, overcome competitors, command a price premium, and create a great long-term relationship. Did that make sense to everyone, by the way? right? And another type of negotiation was spot transactional negotiation. How do you beat a street vendor out of 15 bucks, right? There's no sales process up front and there's no ongoing legacy. You may never do business with them again. And what we found is that no one really studied business to business sales negotiation, whereas, how do you win the deal, command a price premium, overcome competitors, and create a great long-term customer. Does that make sense, by the way, that those 3 different types of negotiation? And if you said, hey, I went to negotiation training today, and you said, what type? Was it conflict resolution? Was it spot transactional? Or was it business to business sales negotiation? You'd be ahead of 95% of the people. So there's a lot of mixed metaphors like hostage negotiation and all different kinds of things. Using those paradigms for business to business sale will often do more harm than good. Does that make sense? Okay. Matthew, make sense? I got to check in on you. Okay. So just knowing those 3 things.
Too often, so I'm getting tired of being asked.
Oh, okay. I just want to check in with you, baby. So, so just knowing those 3 different types of negotiation, and there's 2 things you need to negotiate well. The first is you have to put a superlative sales effort in. So there's no magic or abracadabra that'll make up for a poor sales effort. A strong sales effort is absolutely critical to negotiate well. And you can define those elements or those things. You really want to define those things. I'm happy to show you how we define it. And then we have a really simple 7-step negotiation framework. The first is you have to be the buyer's #1 choice. And we talk about companies don't buy price, they buy risk. And if in your sales process, you can show you're the least risky solution, then you've earned the right to command a price premium, right? And I always say risk comes in 2 forms, business risk and personal risk. So I always make a list of the decision makers in the decision-making process. I go, how do I lower their business risk? And more importantly, how do I lower their personal risk by making a selection, whether, it's Alan's firm or Aaron's firm or Rochelle's firm, right? How do we lower both those risk profiles for all the buyers? And then I always want to ask before they push back on price, and this is something you may want to start to before you send out a proposal. So the earlier you do this before they push on pricing or send a proposal, say, hey, if price was an issue, would you want to move forward and why? Right? So you want to hear yes to the first. And when they tell you why, it's like, oh, Zev's amazing. He's worked with companies just like ours. He did a great job. I believe, your personal hands-on touch. I have your cell phone, whatever those things are. And that'll tell you the reason you can command a price premium. By the way, how am I on time? I'll go through this. Is this useful for you guys? If we're going to tell you guys what we do. The second is you have to know the value create. If you don't know the value create, you're going to be left to defend price, which is going to put you in a reactionary position, right? And Robert, are you a sports fan? Like, you have to go off mute for a second.
Yes,
Okay, who's your favorite team?
I'm gonna get yelled at right now. Flyers.
Oh, the Flyers, that's cool. I go back to Schultz, all those guys, man. Block, all those guys, Leach, all those guys. But anyway, if the Flyers are always playing defense and always playing the defensive half of the ice or defensive part of the field, what's your chance of winning that game?
Not good.
Exactly. And what if they're always playing offense and they're in possession of the puck and playing the offensive part of the game? What's a chance of winning that game?
Of course.
The same is true of your negotiation. If you don't know the value you're creating for the customer, you're going to be left to defend price. You're going to go like Rachel, like Rochelle, I can find 5 people in Fiverr who'll do this for nothing, right? Or I can do this, or I can do that, right? It's like, well, what's the value of getting it done right the first time and having a compelling message to your audience, right? So you want to have that, know the value create. And then I'll pick someone, I'll go with the assassin. The third step is to anticipate getting squeezed on price. Price negotiation is not cost justification. If they want to buy you, the next question is, what price can I get you at? And anybody worth their salt is going to be trained to squeeze you. And you want to look forward to being squeezed. Like most people, I get squeezed, I'm like, I feel uncomfortable. Look forward to it. Know it's coming, right? And be disappointed they don't squeeze you. And has anybody heard the wet towel, dry towel analogy? Rajiv, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard the wet towel unless you're talking about waterboarding, but outside of that, no, I haven't.
Okay, so if I gave you a wet towel, Rajiv, and I said, squeeze this towel, and for every drop of water, I'll give you $1,000. How many times would you squeeze that towel?
As much as I can.
And when would you stop, baby? When would you stop?
I wouldn't. I'd keep squeezing it out.
Okay, I love it. And maybe when, like, after the last drop. What if I gave you a dry towel? How many times would you squeeze that?
Well, I mean, if it's a dry towel, there's nothing to be squeezed out.
Oh, you're not an official New Yorker. I'm a native New Yorker, so even a native New Yorker would squeeze a dry towel once, twice, 3 times. And after you saw nothing was there, you give up. So look forward to being squeezed, know it's coming, and be prepared to resist price squeezes, okay? Step 4 is know the budget and decision-making process. This is a sales 101, but we always want to make sure those are the unfun questions you need to know. And some things you're going to want to know is who do we need to get on board? One of my favorite questions is what obstacles can get in the way, because they get you on the same side of the table. And also, where else can budget come from? So I always like asking, what's a comfortable budget? What's a stretch budget? If we go above a certain budget level, do we need to get more approvals? So I know exactly how to price things out. The 5th is to expand the pilot set of non-monetary trade-ups. When I say non-monetary, it doesn't mean it doesn't have a price or a cost. It just means the value to the customer is greater than the cost to us. And what do we want to get in return? So maybe it's a higher level of support or extra people at training, right? So rather than giving a dollar for dollar discount, you continue to add more value to the customer that isn't a dollar for dollar discount. And what do you want to get in return? So you might do an executive presentation to the board, or I'll give you a couple extra suggestions or an extra tagline or whatever the marketing asset might be, complimentary, but I need a 2-year commit or a longer term commit. That makes sense to everybody? Okay. Aaron, in your business, what's one trade up you can make rather than reduce price?
You're putting me on the spot. I'm not thinking right now.
Okay, no problem. Rochelle, you want to give him a lifeline?
Yeah.
You got to go off mute.
Personal access.
Yeah, personal access, right? And what do you want to get in return?
Payment on time.
Early payment up front, right? Beautiful. Step 6 is never give without getting. In sales, we're trained as pleasers. The customer's always right. So we'll often give without getting. And if you give, I like how Rochelle's shaking her head, don't give without getting. And they'll have very little respect for your give.
Customer's not always right, so.
There you go. I love it. I love it.
You got to sometimes point out where the customer is not right, and that's why they need you.
Excellent. And step 7 is know your walkaway price. If you are the buyer's number 1 choice and you go through steps 1 through 6, you should rarely, if ever, be there. Quick question: out of those 7 steps, how many do you think the average salesperson uses? Average is 1.5, right? So just by adding a step or 2, you can't help but make improvement. So I hope that was useful for you guys. So we teach companies how to do that, and just take something away from this and put it into your negotiation process and watch the positive results.
Who do you
I have a
work
question for you. Yeah.
basically? Yeah, who do you work with basically? Do you work with sales teams? Who's your ideal client that brings you in most of the time?
Yes, we work with sales teams, to all business to business sales, mostly in technology, but any business to business sales teams. So business to business sales organizations.
So here's a question, Ron.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, right? We're selling, especially I am, selling for new business, trying to do business development, right? Bringing new clients. But I own a PR firm. So there's another level of selling in my business. And like I said, I think a lot of you guys will recognize this in your own business, but we're pitching media, right? We're going after press. We're selling to press. It's still sales, different kind of sales. My question to you is that something you could help us with?
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem.
How would you do that?
So I want to learn more about what you're selling, but everything is a sale, right? It's sort of like, how's this going to be a benefit to you, right? On a business level and a professional level. So I always come from that paradigm. So whether it's exchange of dollars or not exchange of dollars, you're selling that first meeting, right? Does that make sense, Alan? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Do you do like role play?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. How do you at all recommend building in some buffer in your price for negotiation?
Absolutely. Anything you do to be proactive, I'd rather you build in buffer and keep that buffer. Right. So, okay. And this is something that almost all professionals do. They negotiate with themselves before they send out a proposal. Like, here's my full price. I'm going to take off 10,000, 5,000, 15,000. Right. And if you ask, hey, if price was an issue, would be your number 1 choice and why, then you're in a much stronger position. So if you send, let's say you're going to send out a proposal for 100,000, make it 110, and hopefully you'll get 110 of it. You can never go wrong by asking for more. You can always go wrong by asking for less. And if they like your proposal and they say, hey, this is out of bounds, well, let's talk about it. What is your budget? What's comfortable for you? What's a stretch budget? What would you like to take out? Or what would you like to leave in? Or I'll tell you what, if I can take off not 5,000, but I'll take off $4,973, which shows you use some precision, right? Don't discount around numbers. But I need you to do payment up front, or I need a 2-year commit, or I need you to, have me, be a video case study on my website.
Very cool. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate your sharing some of your expertise. Going back to the gallery mode.
One last thing. If anybody, you can download my book. I have a book. You can download a free copy, no obligation. Closing time, it's on our website. It's got nice recommendations from Jim Steele, who's Chief Customer Officer at Salesforce.com, and Ray Lane, who we used to work for, Michael Bendit, and I used to work for Booz Allen.
I never worked for him directly. I think he might have left, well, shortly after I joined. Yeah,
He saw our successor coming in.
that's exactly it. All right, cool. So I just dropped in the chat the order in which folks showed up. So we'll do, let's say, 2 minutes or so per, and then we'll give Aaron the floor. Tell us, for the benefit of the guests, and of course the guests, you're meeting a bunch of people for the first time. What you do, what makes you different. And so whether it's the market or your angle on what you do, something that people can remember you by. And if you have a particular ask, if you're looking for a connection to someone, or you need some advice on something, let us know and we'll see what we can do. And I, by the way, I take pretty copious notes. You may hear my keyboard clicking in the background. I try to take notes on what people are looking for. And it's great for me. I use Evernote, and I'm able to go back and search on both what people can offer and what they're looking for. So just as an idea, you might want to consider that. But I'm going to do it again. We'll go on to speaker mode, Rajiv, then Matthew, and then Alan, and then Aaron. So Rajiv, take it away. I'm going to give you, I'm going to go to 2 minutes.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks so much for this, Michael. Nice to see you all. For those that I don't know, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn, and I'd love to see who in my 12,000 connections on LinkedIn I can introduce you to potentially. What do I do? As you can tell from my Zoom background, I'm the friendly neighborhood assassin that handles or makes go bye-bye your problems. And these problems could be scandal, it could be bad press, it could be allegations, it could be bad reviews, it could be your private personal information, like where you live, how many times you've been married, how many times you've been divorced, how much you make, etc., etc. So all that can be wiped clean. Why? Because it's your right, and that's what we do. So so that's one thing that I do that I think I'm, let's say, infamous for. Another thing that I do is I help people with product launch. We, in fact, have a software called Lily Launch Tools that helps you achieve that product launch. Essentially, the two parts to it is a container for your strategic go-to-market strategy. And the flip side of that, it is a system that allows your team to communicate effectively amongst each other so that they have a clarity on what to do, when to do, so that you can, in fact, launch better, faster, and smoother, thus de-stressing a stressful world. Now, what makes me different? Well, I have an amazing smile. I'm pretty tall. You can't tell in Zoom, but I'm actually 6'5". So when we do meet in person, if we do meet in person, you might be like this, and I apologize for the kink in your neck, but it might happen, just saying. And as far as besides that, how am I different? Well, a few things. I'm a United Nations speaker and advisor. I helped Unilever get into the Guinness Book of Records by creating their most successful product launch campaign for Lipton. We ended up making the world's largest interactive jigsaw puzzle, which at the height of the campaign had 300,000 active users. And the campaign was so successful that it sold out twice nationally in India, in both retail and wholesale, 2 months back to back. And this is something that had never happened in the history of the category, which is hot beverages, as well as didn't happen to any other category for Unilever. I'll put my details in the chat. I'd love for everyone to try out Lily Launch Tools. It's a very elegant, easy to use software. And I'll leave it there. Thanks again, Michael. You guys rock. And if I don't see you again, happy holidays and have an amazing, prosperous, blessed new year.
Thank you. Okay. Matthew Asbell.
Well, nice to meet half of you because the other half I know quite well, and I'm pleased to see you, especially since I haven't been on one of these meetings in quite a while. When your clients, the businesses that you know, when they're forming, when they have an idea, when they're expanding, when they're planning for their succession, these businesses often have a most valuable asset, and that most valuable asset is often intellectual property, the stuff you can't see that you can own and you can keep other people from copying or using or get paid to allow them to do that. So what I do is I help people obtain those rights all over the world, domestically, of course, but when their markets are beyond U.S. borders, the law is quite different, and I help them obtain those rights. Then when they have those rights, or if they already have them, I will help them enforce them to get others to stop copying their name, their logo, the images they have on their website or social media, their music, or their inventions, their processes, or machines they've created. And sometimes I'm on the other side of, and just recently helped somebody who was on the other side, where someone has found that, oh gee, their marketing person didn't realize when they took that photo and put it up on their website that actually belonged to, the copyright, and that actually belonged to somebody else, and negotiated out, needed Ron for that negotiation help, but negotiated them out of that type of problem and managed a settlement, in defense of the intellectual property issues. So these are important assets to get. They should be on the balance sheet in the business, and they are also ones that can be used to securitize, in other words, to get collateral for a loan, or otherwise support your business. And I handle these, all forms of intellectual property in all jurisdictions around the world, with of course, my U.S. focus, since that's where I'm based. Pleasure to meet you all. I'm at a law firm called Offit Kerman, which is a general practice firm, so I'm part of an IP department. But nice to meet you, those of you that I haven't met before, and good to see my old friends here.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Or not time yet.
Yeah,
so do you do patents, or you do mostly litigation defending? Do you actually?
I obtain patents, yes.
Okay.
All right, cool. So Rochelle asked how long is our. We do have, at least I have booked, so to speak, until 12:30. I know a lot of people can only do an hour, but I think we'll fit it in. Next is Alan Winnikoff.
Hi, everybody. So we had our company dinner last week, and mentioned to one of my young employees, we were talking about 9/11. It's like, where were you at 9/11? And she said, I was 3 months old. Some of you may be able to relate to that. I was a little taken aback, but I divide my professional career basically pre 9/11 and post 9/11, because prior to that, I was in the corporate world doing corporate communications for various media companies. After that, in the shadow of 9/11, I was laid off. I was kind of trying to figure out what to do next. I had enough of the corporate world. So in 2003, 20 years ago, I started my firm as a traditional PR firm. I've always worked in PR, mostly in media and entertainment, but obviously since we've had the company, we've done a lot of other things as well. And then at a certain point in these long 20 years, something called social media began to emerge. Mark Zuckerberg got out of Harvard and decided to start something called Facebook. So make a long story short, we realized we had to pivot, and now social media is about half our business, as well as other forms of digital communication. So we're a full service marketing firm, although people still want old school PR. They still want stories in newspapers and magazines, even though nobody reads newspapers and magazines. So we provide, I guess what I would say, classic marketing, which is earned PR, as well as digital communications. And we work with a lot of different types of businesses. Media and entertainment is still a big part of our world, but we also work with healthcare companies, attorneys, and other corporate clients. Interestingly, John Parsons, who is a member of this group, introduced me to a guy named Paul Hayes, who was launching a nonprofit for people learning how to invest appropriately and save money while they invest. And when he first introduced me to John, I'll do this quickly, I didn't really think there was a story there. But once I realized he was launching a nonprofit and he was giving away a book, I realized, yes, we can do this. So we've been working with Paul now for a couple of months, and we started from zero. There was no social media, there was no website, and there was no PR. And so we are now beginning to get traction for him and build his brand. And that's the kind of thing we do very well. So if you are looking for somebody to help you, one of your clients start their marketing, we'd love to talk to you. And by the way, as I always say, we always pay it forward. So I'm here to help you guys as well. What can I do to help you? It's not a one-way street by any means. And we're partners, and I want you to tap into me to see how I can assist you in your business.
Right. Aaron, can I move you to the end so that you can do your 10 minutes? Yeah, I'm assuming that's a yes. I think you may be on mute.
That's a yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, then we will go to one of our guests, Amy Lemel.
Hi, first I'd like to apologize for the crazy screen. When Michael and I met a couple of weeks ago, I did take his advice and I got a webcam, but to put on my display, I put it up, but it's not, I haven't gotten it to work properly yet. So I'm going back and forth because I'm aware of the profile. Anyway, I'm founder of ABL Marketing Strategies, which I founded about 23 years ago. My background has been a combination of classic marketing, communications, and it's twofold. For the last 15 or so years, I've done a lot of sales and account management in the legal industry, working for a legal media company, in addition to serving other clients. So my strength has been being a hybrid, and what I used to call being a mix of creative and analytical. So with a financial services and legal industry background, as far as other classic corporations, publishing, etc., publishing a magazine for a professional organization, what I've realized is that what I enjoy most is strict project management. And I don't mean that in the technical sense, but really shepherding a project through. So being able to grasp and understand what the stakeholders need and want, whether I'm inside an organization or as an external service provider, and then shepherding it through and being able to communicate with whether it's internal implementers, whether it's a website, whether it's a creative project, whether it's writing and all of that. That's what I do best. So I've recently left a position where I was managing director of a legal media company, and it's taken me quite a while to kind of look around, take some time off, and get back to my roots through ABL Marketing Strategy. And so I'm looking for something where I can either come in as a consultant on a project basis, or could even be part-time. My business model is very flexible. And I guess that my ask is just, if you or someone needs someone like me, let me know. And I'm happy to help you guys in any way I can.
Thank you so much. And your glasses match your sweater perfectly.
How do you like that? Yeah. Unintentional.
Oh, that's amazing. All right. Moving on. Zev Gotkin.
Hi, Zev Gotkin, founder of ZEV Media. As you can see behind me, we're a boutique digital advertising agency, and we're mainly focused on growing people's ROI through targeted outcomes such as purchases, downloads, leads, email captures, things that matter to your business, mainly through Meta ads and Google ads, but we're really platform agnostic and have run ad campaigns on all kinds of social networks as well as search engines. We are mainly focused on the hospitality industry at the moment, but we have worked with pretty much every vertical you can think of. But we love doing like event spaces, restaurant groups, hotel chains, especially if they have about 3 to 20 locations and are looking to grow or expand. We've gotten 6 to 12 times return on ad spend for our clients. Some campaigns we've even got as high as 32 times return on ad spend, including a recent Thanksgiving seasonal campaign that we just did. And yeah, I'm really looking to network and meet all of you. I think a lot of the magic happens in those one-on-ones. And I always like thinking of introductions for everybody. So yeah, thank you.
I just ask you, Zev, do you do SEO?
Sorry?
Is SEO part of your portfolio?
Yes, I primarily like push our paid social, our paid advertising strategies, but we do organic marketing such as SEO and social media as well.
I'm pitching a project right now where you'd be perfect. I'm going to talk to you soon.
Awesome, great, thank you.
Okay, that's what it's all about. And I apologize for the leaf blower that's going on outside of my apartment. If you can hear it. Let's see.
It's your fault, Michael. I mean, you moved from the city to the suburbs, you know.
I can't control it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Rochelle Lisner, take it away.
Okay, hi everyone, it's Rochelle, and I always say it's from dynamic business growth and not schlep along business growth. So here we go, 2 areas. One area is clients reach out to me because they're really struggling with 3 things: decision making, tick, like heads and tails is not the way to make a decision. Number 2, implementation, 1,000 ideas and nothing's implemented. And number 3, innovation. They'd like to do something different, a new vertical of business. Now everybody's singing the blues about ChatGPT. Their staff is resistant. We've got the whole idea of innovation. So integrating this where they can feel a sense of control over their company. I love working with business owners. That's one of the areas that I do some of my, what do I call my zippity-doo-dah stuff. The other area, which is I think most people know me here, is I can't even tell you how people literally suffer about speaking about their business in a charismatic way. The ones that are the most notorious are very, what I would say, common industries: banking. If you do any kind of brokerage, real estate, financial services, when you're in a lot of competition, you've got issues. And they say they are common, boring, long-winded, and those are some of the compliments that I've heard. So when you speak about your business, I have just a quick question. Are you storytelling or boring telling? Can you tell me a story that represents your high-level thinking? Can you tell me a story that based on that story, I can say, Mamma Mia, you can absolutely deal with the issue, the problem, the agony that I'm dealing with. And creating some of these great stories is, again, where I'm doing some zippity-doo-dah work. So I have 2 asks, pretty please. Number 1, if people are working with family-owned businesses, I love that. First generation starts it, next generation comes in. And talk about needing negotiating skills. There's a little conflict. And in January, the end of January, I'd like to do my next cohort with the Ultimate Power Pitch, and I'm looking for 5 attorneys. So that's my ask, pretty please.
Okay, thank you so much. I know met somebody recently who owns 5 ServPro franchises, 6 actually. So pretty successful. And I may be able to, I'll see if they have an interest. Robert Weiss.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Robert. Well, everybody's on mute here. So I was going to say, I say video, you say video. I say video, you say video.
Video.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to do a little show and tell. Everybody can see that. Let's get rid of that. And this is our sizzle reel for 2020, the end of 2023. Shows a little bit about what we do.
The most important thing about my team is me.
Make America is Harold Beck.
And that's what we do. That's video, video, video.
Hey,
Very
Robert,
cool.
Yes.
super impressive, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing.
I don't know, favor to ask if you want to put your watermark on the guy high-fiving himself. I thought that was really beautiful. I would show that to a lot of people, by the way. So I don't know if you want to slice that. The guy goes, the most important thing about my team is me.
Oh, yeah.
And then he high-fives his picture, which I thought was a very visceral moment for me. If you want to put your watermark on that, I'd be happy to share that with a bunch of people, man.
Cool, cool. I'll
What
actually,
would it-
I'll make a note and I'll send you the link to our, when it's up on YouTube.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
There. That was
Yeah,
actually a video we did, like a spoof on The Office
Yeah,
of a customer service software company called Right Answers.
yeah.
And, it was all about having the right answers, and that's actually a really funny spoof video we did. So,
Yeah, I think everyone relates to that. So
Yeah.
it's very well done. Picture of me
Nice,
on my
and-
wall.
All
And
right,
Robert,
thank you.
congrats on getting the Temu account, or whichever work you did. I'm a big fan of Temu.
yeah, thank you.
That was beautiful.
Cool. So I'm going to do my own, and then we'll go to Aaron, who's going to do a 10-minute deep dive into his product. So putting the timer on for myself. Of course, my name is Michael Bendit. My core business is doing sales representation for about a dozen software development teams. And about 70% of our work is in the marketing world. So that's building websites, building e-commerce sites, building mobile applications. And much of that is in partnership with small agencies, digital agencies. I just got connected with an agency out in New Jersey of about 35 people. They do have their own internal resources, but they're currently working with a client who is on a platform called Sitecore, which is it's not that niche, actually. I mean, it's obviously much, much smaller than WordPress, but he asked me if I had any developers who know Sitecore. And I do have an offshore team based in Eastern Europe that has Sitecore expertise. They're probably about half the price at $90 an hour as they would have to pay if they wanted Sitecore expertise in the US. And most of their work is with US and European clients. So hopefully that'll be a win for me. The other good thing about it is that he's currently paying for resources on a full-time basis. So he's paying, for 1.5 full-time equivalents. And then he has to manage them. What we can do is work on a time and materials basis, which means tell us what you need to do. We'll quote it out. We'll work against that. And when we're finished with that work, we're not going to keep you on we're not going to keep you on the clock. So it's a little bit different. It's not a dedicated resource, but it's a much more flexible resource. So people come to me when they have all sorts of software development challenges, be it, their freelancer is now taking their own time, free refers to them, or they don't have the right skill set, the right bandwidth. That's who I like to speak to. An ask is I am launching a new podcast called Martech Miracles. You may have seen my post recently on LinkedIn. I put out the post for with 3 different logos, and asking for people for feedback on which they like best. But I'm looking for innovative marketing technology products to interview the founder or the vendor, but they have to bring a customer in also to make it real, right? We don't want just fluff. I want to talk to the customer about how they implemented it, what they found useful, what they found challenging, et cetera. So looking for interesting introductions to people with interesting marketing technology. Speaking of which, let's go to Aaron Itzkowitz. And I'm going to make it 10 minutes, Aaron. Tell us about your product and what it does for folks.
Hey, well, thank you, Michael, and hello, everybody. And Michael, thanks for inviting me on as a guest today so I can learn more about your bi-weekly event. Very, very interesting. First of all, those who are celebrating, I want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah and, of course, happy holidays. And I think I'm going to follow Robert with showing you a little bit of a demo video. It's a 2-minute video. It'll tell you a little bit about what we do. But just to give you a little summary, we provide audience insights, rich data to help you strategize in 2 markets. One is the advertising market or creative market, and the other market is for litigators in the attorney space. And so let me play the video. I think it'll give you more clarity. I'm only showing you the video for the creative side. We have another video for the legal side, but I won't show that today. You can certainly go to my website and see that as well, which I will post after I finish my spiel. Let me just minimize this.
Sure, when you share the audio as well.
Well, tell me if the audio is not working.
Okay.
Discover how your message resonates emotionally with each audience demographic before you go live with your creative, so you can maximize your campaign results and prevent damage to your brand. EmotionTrac provides insights that aren't available anywhere else, and these emotional insights are critical to knowing how an audience is feeling about your creative. EmotionTrac automates 50-year-old emotion recognition science. In a typical test, the system tracks and analyzes over 6,800 microfacial standards per second, then builds comprehensive reports using more than 2 million points of data. The EmotionTrac science is effective regardless of race, color, religion, nationality, age, and gender. You've probably used focus groups and other market research methods in the past, but there's bias with these approaches, and they don't capture the authentic responses that EmotionTrac does. With EmotionTrac, you can quickly test a creative against an online panel audience where each participant is independent from the others. The panelists are pre-screened for tracking permission. They provide demographics to participate in these tests, and they're prepared to answer survey questions about the content they viewed. EmotionTrac provides access to 149 million enrolled panelists and their demographic information across 130 countries, including 30 million of them in the United States. In about an hour, you'll have full reports, which you can use to optimize your creative and target your placement. Through this quick and inexpensive testing process, you'll have scientifically proven objective analysis and know for certain your creative will perform optimally with your target demographics. EmotionTrac is now being used by major brands such as Royal Caribbean, Morgan & Morgan, and Teads. Setting up a test is simple and fast. You upload your video content, select the demographic you want to target. You can add custom survey questions or stick with the standard 4 included with every basic test. Then check out. There are online tutorials and contextual help that will show you how to use our advanced features. Imagine how much time and money you can save by knowing in advance how people will react emotionally to your creative across all demographics. Get started today and start maximizing the impact of your creative.
So I think if anybody has any questions, I think it's always best to see if anybody has questions.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this. If I if the technology had existed when I was at Mindshare working on Unilever, I would have like bought it in a heartbeat and employed it across all product categories at Unilever, or Procter, or all those CPG guys. So I guess my question is like, how does the technology work? Is it for banner ads? Is it for YouTube ads? Is it for like, how is the like, are you serving the ad and also then tracking the behavior? And is it only on mobile devices if you're leveraging like the camera input?
That's a great question. These are great questions. So firstly, the panelists that participate can participate either through the mobile, a phone, or a desktop computer or a tablet, whatever has a front-facing camera, even a webcam. So we capture their information that way. And they're all giving us permission to opt in. They're participating. It's sort of like a survey or a poll. So they're getting rewarded for participating in the study. Secondly, regarding your other question about, or your statement about the CPG companies, yes, we are working towards, relationships with Procter and Gamble. But if there are other relationships you have, and there's a strategic opportunity to work together, I'd be happy for a call and to discuss that. We're all about a win-win situation.
So Aaron, just a quick follow-up question. I mean, I understand that you're using this kind of like as a focus group, like a survey type thing, like a qualitative survey kind of thing, and it's fascinating. I'm just wondering, as like, just to extend this idea further, if you were able to do this through a live campaign, then you could actually provide the marketer with some like real information to the extent of, like with funnels, you can upsell or downsell people. So based on the facial expressions, if you're noticing like a grimace, you can like maybe downsell them with something, potentially like more viable. And if they're smiling, then you can upsell them with like something of high value. Again, just kind of based on their like facial, expressions. So are you kind of like thinking of something like a use case like that? Because I think that would just take it to the next level.
Well, here's the thing, Rajiv. First of all, the technology that we built can do that, in a live environment. But if I go back to Ron and negotiating skills, if you're in front of a person and you can't read their emotion and how they feel just naturally, I think that's a problem. I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, I don't need a computer to tell me how somebody's feeling if I'm having a discussion with them or looking at all the faces on the screen. People always say to me, like, I'll be at a conference and they'll say, well, can I use this on my wife? And I say, well, you got more problems if you need to use a solution like this on your wife. So, the short answer is our core technology can be deployed in so many different use cases and so many different, product categories. It's a big idea. We're in 2 verticals already. There are probably too many. We're still in the infancy of emotional intelligence. Bank of America projects this to be one of the top 3 moonshot technologies by 2030. They're projecting $130 billion in revenue on this solutions. So we're always open. We have a lot of people calling us about different kind of use cases. So also costs money to develop these individual solutions and building these things out. So.
Yeah, I think also, Rajiv, and correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, this is really for market research. So these are not buyers of the service that your client services. They are reacting to the messaging though. So you're not selling them anything on the spot. You're seeing how they respond to a message or to,
right.
Video or whatever the message is.
Yeah, correct, Michael. But I mean, but based on what Rajiv said, the short answer is yes. It could be used for generating call to actions if used in a different environment. We just haven't built, the packaging around our core tech around this solution. So
yeah, but you definitely have a chat, Aaron. I mean, I'm just like totally blown away by this technology, and it's just like you could just take this like freaking anywhere. You could even take this to help with employee retention. Because, when people send out messages about their perks or whatever, blah, blah, and then their facial expression says something based on that, you can tell them if they, what that logical next step could be. And there's just like a variety of use
there is a
cases?
lot. There's a lot. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we
there's-
have people have used us. We've had some of the large law firms, AmLaw 100s, using this for professional development for new associates coming in. So Matthew, you might be familiar with something like that. And yeah, so Rajiv, I put my calendar link in the chat. Feel free to schedule some time with me. Absolutely. And
yeah,
just to
and
go to
somebody
Zev,
that I know like works with 3-letter agencies, and I think something like this, depending on, if it can do certain things because they work on threat assessment, potentially it has like a lot of applicability there. But anyway, let's chat.
yeah.
Also, you
Zev, I
might.
think you and I spoke a few years back. We were branded a different name and it wasn't built out as it is today, but I'm looking forward. I scheduled some time with you, so I'm looking forward. And as far as Robert, we have a lot of creative agencies using us to test their video content to make sure there's audience resonance and make sure this way when they deliver the video to their clients, they could say, we tested this video with 100 people and, Hispanic women ages 35 to 44 really resonate well with this. Or we tested this 30-second spot, and you know what? It was a little flat between 11 seconds and 16 seconds. So let's go and optimize this video or edit the video. We did a couple of, just to name a couple of case studies, we did a project for Amazon Ring for a new Q1 launch for a new TV commercial. And they were testing, it was almost like an A/B test, but they were testing slightly different spots for the same messaging. And what we came back with, we said, well, this video is working really well with the exception of the hero image. But spot number 2, the hero image is really solid. It's got a really big engagement and big lift. We recommend pulling out the hero image from spot 2, plugging it into spot 1. And that's the kind of data insights that you get.
All right.
I also
Thank
have,
you.
and also
I have a
Robert, if you
question.
need somebody, my son was a creative director at a small social media agency and has a great portfolio of some video. I'd love to share it with you if you're ever looking for some additional help.
We're looking to grow. So yes.
All right. So if you want to just text me your info, that would be great.
Yeah, by the way,
Aaron,
I recommend that everybody
oh, sorry.
drop their info into the chat if you haven't already, contact info, particularly our guests and members as well, so that if you download the chat at the end, you'll have the opportunity to connect with somebody or anybody who you have an interest in connecting with. That's what this is all about. It doesn't end here, it starts here. So this is, for example, the Zev and Aaron connection, and the Robert and Aaron connection. I'm sorry, Alan, you had a question?
Sorry, do I have time to ask a question?
Sure, yeah.
So Aaron, my question is, I was sort of cramming on your website while you were presenting your video, and so it's all ad-based. My question is, like, for example, we have a healthcare startup with an app, and we're trying to get a sense of how the app is interactive. You do steps to help your health. Do you do beyond ads? Would you put this technology to use for content, whether it's an app or even like a TV show, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so the short answer is yes. I didn't get a chance to answer Rajiv before, but we've had clients use us to test billboard ads, radio ads, display ads, even like mailing pieces. So, but that protocol, the way we do it is it sort of flows like a PowerPoint show. It flows like a screen by screen, slide by slide, so we can capture, correlating the people's reactions, to what they're viewing, the stimulus that they're viewing on the screen. Again, we can certainly have a call, offline, Alan, and talk about it. But I mean, we've had some PR agencies also, using us before they do a press release and so forth, and get the reactions of an audience.
I mean, so you're content agnostic, basically.
We're content agnostic, yes. But again, we're also it's coming from a panel audience. So it's an independent panel, unbiased panel that is viewing the data, and we're aggregating that data moment by moment based on their emotional reactions. And then we're asking them survey questions at the end to validate, some of the responses.
Very powerful.
And I think I may have
those are tied into brand recall, intent to purchase, social share, would they refer to friends, some basic stuff.
I think I'd asked you, Aaron, I'm not sure when we spoke if you'd be interested in doing the podcast, the Martech Miracles. Again, you'd have to bring a customer. So
Well, if one
that
of
would-
these fine people want to, run a test with us and they have a great case study, would love to, be on your podcast alongside with them.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll wind it down. This is the last meeting of the year. We're going to cancel the one on the 26th since it's the day after Christmas. Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the holiday season, be it Hanukkah or Christmas or Kwanzaa or whatever. And we'll see you in January. Now's a good time to download the, copy the chat if you haven't done so already. If you open up the chat window and then click on the 3 buttons on the bottom, the first menu item is Save Chat, and that'll show up in your Zoom folder. So give folks a couple of minutes, and thank you to our guests, Amy and Aaron. If you want to come back, let me know. We do have a 3-month trial for members and sponsors. And that's free for 3 months. And after that, it's $360 a year, less than $1 a day, as Ron Hubsher has pointed out in the past.
And how many members do you have, Michael?
It's about 25 members right now.
Okay.
Some are still on trial, and we always try to bring in guests to keep it live and interesting. Thank you all. And
Michael, thank you for inviting me.
absolutely.
Great
Thank
to
you as
meet
well.
everyone.
Thanks for the invitation, Michael.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.